Hey there. Wanted to go over some tire inserts for those that are interested. Um, this, to me, is one of the most important things you can deal with on your crawler. Tire inserts and tires. All the other upgrades, shocks, brass, nothing else really matters if you don't have traction on the rocks. I've seen it. I've had it happen myself. It was a hard learning lesson early on. Thought I had the vehicle set up incredibly well, but when it came to sticking to the rocks, the tires just weren't biting. And at the time, I was using either a stock tire or some of the Chinese knockoffs, and I had to go through a lot of learning over the last few years. Initially, and with most any tire, you're going to start out with a single stage foam, and there's nothing really wrong with them. They serve their purpose, but when it comes to side hilling, technical crawling, they can really bite you, and that's in the rolling under that a lot of people are aware of already. They do actually get a pretty decent forward bite on just a straight vertical climb. They do conform pretty nicely that way, but everywhere else they kind of fall short. So at some point, most people are going to be looking for something else to put into it. The first thing I went to, and it was really one of the only options at the time, was the dual stage foam. This one being from Proline. I also used some from Crawler Innovations. For most Proline tires and larger size tires, the Proline dual stage I think works really well. Crawler Innovations, though, I really like where they come in on odd size tires, things that are smaller than the 475. But these are actually a really good foam option, and about one of the cheapest really for an upgrade. You're looking at, I believe it was $20 or $25 a pair. I think it was $20 a pair for these, and they're actually pretty hard to beat. They do a really good job. The inner foam does stop a lot of the side roll, keeps the tread from pushing in too far, which is actually a bad thing, honestly. If you don't really want the tire to bite all the way into the rim. You start to run into some other problems when you're crawling if that happens. But very good option. I'd recommend those to anybody. $20 a pair. You can't really go wrong. One big downside, and also with the original foams, is that if you're gonna vent your tires or do a lot of trailing in water, the water gets into the tire. Even when I used to keep my tires sealed specifically because of the foam, and even with them with no vent holes, it finds its way in one way or another eventually, and it will ruin the foam and break it down. So one downside to that. Some of the, well, moving on to the 3D foams, 3D printed foams, which really are the ultimate real way to go on these. That's where these really excel. There's very little or no side roll, just due to the nature of the 3D print, and they still conform on the tread. And then also with the water, these don't care. I mean, other than having some water in your tire and possibly sloshing around, maybe causing a weight issue if you get enough of it, but these really don't care if there's water in there or not. It doesn't affect them at all. And I'm kind of going to work from worst to best here on what I have tried. And what I'm going to say is worst is some of the ones that I've printed myself. And I think this is in a large part due to the material that I've used. I'm not really experienced or big on the 3D printing. I have a 3D printer, and learning little by little over time what to do with it. I bought some TPU specifically for trying to do some of this. I figured I'd use it for some other things, but bought it to try some of the free insert files I had seen on Thingiverse. And these are a couple of those that I was able to get off of there. And this one looked promising in the drawing, but once I got it printed, and there, again, I'm not real experienced with the 3D printing, but I didn't see ways for me to thin the walls out any further than what they were. There's no infill, it's just walls. And these are just pretty much hard as a rock. You can squeeze them, but it would take a 20 or 30 pound truck to make these really work. This one was one I tried, and it was actually a lot better, but still not what I was looking for. It has a very shallow second stage that doesn't compress at all, and a very tall first stage. It will get rid of your side roll. It's still a little stiffer than I'd like, and again, that can be a big part to the material that I'm using, the different types of TPU. This is not a particularly soft one. I think this is pretty average. But, you know, again, taking a shot at printing them myself, and learned some things on it. I then went to one that I saw. I actually saw this on a video from West Desert Wheeler. I don't remember the name of who makes them. I apologize. These were not terrible. It's a much softer, better TPU than I was using. But it was, again, pretty much a large single stage foam. It does solve the side hill problems and steering. Doesn't roll under, but even this was still too stiff for what I was trying to do with my trucks. And I don't run particularly light trucks. Mine are generally in the 6, 7, even 8 pound range, I would say, on average. And the shoulder on these were just not. You really had to get pressure on the corner of the tire to get these to compress. So one thing I had done is gone through and chased these ribs with some scissors, and it did help, but again, it just wasn't quite there. But it was a good, I think, step in the right direction for what I was looking for. These right here were not the next ones I tried, but I'm gonna say they're again on the lower end of things. These are the user inserts, and I'm a little disturbed about what, all the hype I'm seeing on social media for these. I really think the people that are so excited about these need to reach out and try some other stuff to compare. I came into these really last and was really disappointed. I was intrigued by the price. I believe they were $35 for a set, which is incredible for, great price. And I will say they are definitely an upgrade from a stock foam still. They're better than the ones that I printed. They're better than this one that I got. They're gonna be better than a stock foam. I would still say, though, very honestly, the dual stage Proline foam, I would put this against these any day of the week. And I'm pretty sure in some of the extreme climbs, these would walk away from them. These might do a hair better on the steering and side hill, just again because of the nature of the 3D foam. But these are quite plasticky. These feel very much like a regular TPU, but these are, whatever they did with them, they are thinner, and they do conform better than the ones that I printed. And they're not gonna, again, be affected by water. And for the price, sure. If you're looking for a cheap 3D insert that's going to be a step up from your stock foams, that's really where I put them. This is a trailing insert. This is not, in my opinion, a competition insert. They don't conform as well as the other two I'm going to go over in just a second. And I would warn people that you've got to, when you're not using the truck, you have got to have the wheels off the ground. These ones I put in the truck, went to a big weekend event, and the truck ended up sitting on its wheels in all the commotion what was going on for about, I think it was 4 days it sat without moving. And these have now sat for a couple of months and have just almost bounced back. It's not going to be something I can translate or show onto the camera, but these had very, very pronounced flat spots that were not coming back. And so I took them out of the tires, and still for weeks they did not look like they were changing or bouncing back at all. This now, like I said, after a couple of months of being outside the tire, has almost recovered. But again, this is a plasticky material. This is not a rubbery based material from what I can see. Trailing upgrade from stock is about the only thing I would recommend those for. And it's hard to argue with the price. As far as competition goes, and just getting into some really great inserts, by far the best inserts I've come across are these that I'm going to go over now. After going through the purchase of the 3D print, the ones that I tried next were the Three Brothers anti-foams, and I tried 3 different variations of these. The first ones I bought were the single stage softs with the tuning rods, and I tried to put those into some Tusk tires, and I believe they may have a size for the Tusk now. I'm not positive, but at the time they did not work. I used all of the tuning rods, bought more tuning rods, put all of those in, and it was just starting to get to where it was not looking and acting like the truck was running on flat tires. The J-Concepts tires are great tires, but they have some of the thinnest sidewalls and most pliable carcasses. They almost rely completely on the insert to make the tire work. In Proline tires, or and I don't have any Voodoo tires, but I'm sure they work better in the Voodoos, and I know they do in the Proline, because the Proline has a thicker carcass in it. It just works out better. But the cost of these was just way above what I felt was reasonable for what you were getting. I do think they're a very good quality product. I like the material they're made of. The tuning rods are a neat idea, and they do, there is functionality there, and you can adjust them in different patterns to try to get the tire to behave the way you want to. But went through the single stage softs with all the tuning rods. After that, I tried the dual stage with no tuning rods, and by that time they had released the tuning rounds, I believe they're called, which are additional 3D printed parts that go on the sides of the centerpiece, and those worked quite a bit better in the Tusk. They still weren't quite filling the tire. There was a little bit more bagginess than I would have liked, but they were working a lot better than the single stage with the tuning rods. These ones were actually, they're class 1 4.19 size. And these again took a lot of tuning rods to get them to work right. Honestly, after this is just personal preference, but after playing with this, I was very tired of trying to get the tuning rods set up to work correctly. And like I said, without them, the tires just squatted. They were just, there was no support. I think if you're in a very lightweight rig, like, you know, obviously 3 pounds, maybe up to 5, 6-ish pounds, these may work okay. Most of my rigs are in about the 6, 7, 8 pound range, some 9, you know, a little bit heavier than most, I'm sure, but they just weren't working out. And then I saw a video on Exocaged for the squid inserts and ordered some of those up to give those a try. And part of what drew me to it was that he's making these for the specific tire, and he had these for the J Concepts tusks. And in the tusks, these are amazing. They fit really well. Actually, let me grab one. Sorry, but this is a tusk with a squid insert in it, and it's awesome. It works really well, and they fit like a glove. And this is true for all the inserts I've gotten from him. I've got him from anywhere from the class 1 size Hyrax. I've got 2 or 3 of the Proline class 1 tires with these in them. Most, you know, obviously the crawlers, trenchers, I can't even think what else right now, but everything that I've put them in, they fit really well, and they're very compliant, but they don't, not too compliant, if that makes any sense. The other thing that he has done for me, and these have them here, and again, this isn't going to translate onto camera as well, but part of his design, not only can he make them for whatever wheel and tire combo you have, but he can also change the infill on the outer layer, make it softer or firmer, you know, for the weight of your truck or the type of driving you're doing. Generally, his normal fill, which I believe he calls a 4% fill, is really pretty well on the mark, and you don't need to really worry about adjusting too much from there. What I've done for competition is I'll put his 4% fill in the front, the normal fill, and in the back he bumps it up to a 5% for me, which keeps it from compressing too much on climbs, actually gives a little bit better bite. And what I found for, like I said, the weight of my trucks on extreme climbs with the softer infill, the footprint was getting to be too big, and there was, if this is going to make any sense to you, too much contact, and to where it actually lost, I would call it your pounds per square inch, your pressure was spread out over too much of an area. And when I got these just a little bit firmer, it kept that under control, and the climbs were working out better. Everything else the same on performance. So yeah, not only being able to do the tire and wheel, like he's also got these a bunch of combinations already made up for putting 1.9 tires onto 2.2 rims, which a lot of guys like to do. I've got them in Ibex pin tires, and they're amazing in those because those are such a tall sidewall tire, and with a lot of other foams you'll get a lot of roll, and there's no roll in mine, and they still have all the soft squishy bite on the tread that you want. These were a later version of them. They're the same thing, same material, just a different color. I really actually like this color, and I kind of hope that it'll stay with it, but I think it's kind of signature. But these, again, the squids and the oh, we got tuning rods falling out, and the Three Brothers anti-foams, the material and quality of the product is so far ahead of anything else here. Running them in competitions, or just playing on hard lines, the Three Brothers and the squids, performance-wise, in my opinion, are neck and neck. But the squids, I don't have to deal with the tuning rods. I don't have to deal with the tuning rounds. They're specifically fit for the tire that I want. You can adjust, like I said, the firmness of it. And I just pop these in and they're done, and I don't have to worry about them again. I've never had any problems with flat spots, never had any problems with breakdown. Every squid that I've put in a tire is still in the tire and working the way it was when I put it in there. So to me, by far, this is the best value, easiest to work with, and the performance is amazing. And I've never talked to anybody that's tried them that has had anything bad to say about them. They've always loved them. Some of them even have purchased like the Yizzer or something else prior to, and even, you know, for them, they're what they're going to be sticking with from now on. I hope I've covered it, and hopefully answered some questions for you guys. It's been a bit of a journey trying to get through all this, but I really do, you know, I try to just give you an honest opinion of what I've been through on these, and my opinions of the different ones out there. The ones, one notable brand that's not here that I have not tried, but I've seen in person, is also the flubber stuffers, and I would put those probably somewhere in here, mainly because of the material, and you know, I'm sure they work reasonably well. Though the thing with me on that one, I'm of the opinion that a tire insert, should not be directional. I don't believe in the forward propulsion version of that they're talking about. It just means, if it is even something that manifests itself in the performance of the tire, it means it's going to perform better in one direction than the other. Where these inserts, it's the same both ways. There's no difference in how the tire performs. It's, I think, more predictable. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents on the flubber stuffers. I'm not saying don't go buy those. I'm just saying it's not something I'm personally buying into. These squids have got every size I need. Every option is available, and oh, and I forgot to mention, price-wise, the Three Brothers RCs, I was between the inserts and the tuning rods and the tuning rounds, everything together, I was in the ballpark of about $100 for a set of inserts for a truck, which was far more than I was willing to do for, you know, multiple trucks. The squid inserts, most of those are in the ballpark of about $50 for the full set of 4. So you're really not much more expensive than the Proline dual stage or the CI foams, the Crawler Innovations dual stage. So by far the best value, in my opinion, the best options, the best fit, and definitely up there with the best performance. These have helped get me a lot of wins, and a lot of it, I think, is due to these tire inserts in there. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you can have your tuning setup weight suspension, everything can be amazing, but if your tires don't grab the rocks, you're out. There's nothing else really matters. So get some good quality inserts. I highly recommend the squid inserts from SL3DRC. And you know, for trailing, competition, whatever, they're just all around. They work for everything. You don't have to worry about water getting into them and ruining them like you do with the foams. There's no side roll. I don't know if they can show that on there. There's just no side roll on them, and they work great. So thanks for sticking around. If you stuck around this far, really appreciate it, and hope it was useful to you.